Hey all, I want to show you some of my books. This is the Holland Tractate of the Talmud. It's 1,400 some odd pages about how to slaughter an animal. And I got a whole bunch of these a bunch of these tractates. This is by Suncino Press, and it presents the modern Hebrew, which is Aramaic, right? We all know modern Hebrew is Aramaic. It's not Hebrew. It presents that next to the English translation, that is. If you come to the back of it, it's got a diagram about the anatomy of an ox. Remember that the ox is a symbol of us. So the letter Aleph, which is originally called L, it's a symbol of us because we wear God's yoke. We all wear his yoke. We are to take on his yoke and plow the earth. And the earth is all the people, right? Plow that the seed of truth, of logic, of logos, of God may take root in them. But the Talmud is about how to spiritually slaughter a person, and it's really remarkable. That's one. Let's see. This is a neat biblical symbol. This is a I didn't show you the Holland Tractate. Hold on. So there's the Talmud right here. That looks like that's kind of like a save. And then there's the English. Anyway, in the biblical symbols book, this is an old German book. This is from 1911. And look at this. It's written. First of all, look at that. That's nice. No, I don't speak German, but I'm learning. Well, I'm going to learn soon. I'm going to buy a book on it soon. I buy a lot of books about the grammars of other languages. Learning another language is as simple as learn the alphabet, learn the grammar. There you go. And then you need to find out what the words are. But anyway, here's one of them. Ancient Greek. Getting Started with Ancient Greek by William E. Linney. When I was a lube tech, 10 years ago, sometimes there would be no car, no oil to change, no tires to rotate. And so in the downtime, I was studying Latin. That's how I know about this author, because I had read his book on getting started with Latin. It's a really great book. It's really efficient teaching. He shows you the letter, tells you a little bit about it, and he teaches you how to transliterate between Greek and English, where you learn how to read English words phonetically in Greek, right? Phonetically is the way they sound, so it's not going to be spelled with not even necessarily the same amount of letters, because they're silent letters and other unnecessary things in English. But anyway, he transliterates ancient Greek to English, and so far I've been enjoying it. Other than the alphabet, the biggest takeaway is that at the beginning of a word in Greek, if there's an apostrophe, that represents the H, which is equivalent to the Hebrew hey. which is the mind, the spirit. You see the H, and it's a little thing. It's hardly there, but it's everything. It gives life to everything. Let's. A History of the Jews in the United States. This is a really nice, sturdy book. The paper, it feels like a textbook, but it's not huge. See, when I was a kid in the 90s, early 2000s, textbooks are so big. This is essentially a textbook, but it's a reasonable size. This is copyright 1935. To Alfred M. Cohen, American and Jewish leader. This is by Rabbi Lee J. Levenger, Ph.D., at the Department of Synagogue and School Extension of the Union of American Hebrew Congregations, Cincinnati. So this is a really cool book. It is written by a rabbi detailing Jewish involvement in the United States from the beginning. Chapter 2, Jews who helped Columbus. Jews were, those who say they are Jews, very much involved in everything concerning the New World. And it's cool. After the chapter, it has review questions like, why did the Jews need a refuge in 1492? Do you believe that Columbus was a Jew? Why? Was it right for the Marranos to pretend to be Christians? Was there any excuse for them? Look. Tell what Columbus learned from one Jewish scientist. What Jew helped Columbus most? Why? Why are we interested in the part played by Louis de Tours in the first voyage of Columbus? That's a good one. Ooh. Let's review these two together. This is the American Jewish Yearbook. For the years 5677 and 5680, which corresponds to 1916 through 1917 and 1919 through 1920. And this is just a list of the accomplishments of Jews in general. They say it's significant, notable accomplishments. What do you mean of the Jews in general? I mean, it just lists people and things accomplished by Jews. And, between 1916 and 1917, which is the years 5677, which is 5,677 years after the flood. That's how they keep track of things. How long has it been since the flood? Revelations 3:9. All right? Go read that real quick. Let's see. I'll just read a little bit from it. Facilities for Jewish observances. You know what? I'm suddenly very bored with the idea of reading about it. European War. Libre Parole criticizes Grand Rabbin of France for endeavoring to arrange religious services for German Jewish prisoners of war. So why do I own this? What am I looking for? So what I was expecting to find by purchasing these two books was a record by those who say they are Jews, who are not. They're not Jews. They call themselves Jews, and we go along with the lie because we don't ask questions because we don't consider the scripture. But anyway, I was looking for proof that they're involved in communism, and it's not. I didn't find necessarily that, but these volumes speak favorably and proudly about their progressive role. And it lists a number of things they do. These aren't, right now at least, probably because I'm telling you about them, they're about to shoot up in price, or somebody about to go snatch them all up. So get things like this while you can. They're frank. They're Frankfurt. 19. These are old books. This is from 1919. This is from 1917. 1916. How's that? How is that? This is 1916 and 1917. They spoke more frankly about themselves before the wars, especially before World War II. And these are invaluable. Is that the right word? So I feel like I've undersold them. But I possess them, and I'm telling you about it for a reason. This is called Every Man a King. Might in Mind Mastery. Dude. Check this out. This is by Orson Swett Marden. From the year 1906. Hear what he says. Ooh, it starts with an Ella Wheeler Wilcox quote. She's my favorite poet. Chapter 1, Steering Thought Prevents Life Wrecks. We build our future, thought by thought, or good, and know it not. And yet the universe is wrought. Yet so the universe is wrought. Thought is another name for fate. Choose then thy destiny and wait. For love brings love and hate brings hate. And on to the first paragraph. A certain man of no great learning, so runs an old legend, fell heir to a ship. He knew nothing of the sea, nothing of navigation or engineering, but the notion seized him to take a voyage and command his own ship. The ship was gotten under way, the self-appointed captain allowing the crew to go ahead with their usual duties as the multiplicity of operations confused the amateur navigator. Once headed out to sea, however, the work grew simpler, and the captain had time to observe what was going on. As he strolled on the forward deck, he saw a man turning a big wheel. Now this way, now that way. What in the world is that man doing? He asked. That's the helmsman. He is steering the ship. Well, I don't see any use in his fiddling away there all the time. There's nothing but water ahead, and I guess the sails can push her forward. Where there's land in sight, or rather wind, or a ship coming head on, there will be time enough to do steering. Put up all the sails and let her go. Okay. Nice little setup, Orson. It tells you about how thought controls your body. Your thoughts will lead you to do good by thinking. Your emotions will wreck you. So, check that out. It's about how we can control our blood flow, like our physical bodies, through our will. We have to, if we're cognizant, if we're not dead, right? Like, if we're illogical, then we have no control over ourselves. If we're logical, we do. Is that fair? This is Sweet Danger by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. And she's my favorite poet, but this is a novel. and she's written a number of novels, and I don't like them except for this. This one is from 1892. Sweet Danger. Is this a poem to begin it? Okay, I'm just going to read. Well, preface. It is more than 2 years since the outline of this. No, I don't want your preface, woman. Anyway, I'll read you the poem at the beginning. The danger of war with its havoc of life, the danger of ocean when storms are rife, the danger of jungles where wild beasts hide, the danger that lies in the mountainside. Why, what are they all but mere child's play, or the idle sport of a summer day, beside those battles that stir and vex the world forever of sex with sex? The warrior returns from the captured fort, the mariner sails to a peaceful port, the wild beast quails neath the strong man's eye, the avalanche passes the traveler by. But who can rescue from passion's pyre the hearts that were offered to feed its fire? Ah, he who emerges from that fierce flame is scarred with sorrow or blackened with shame. Battle and billow, or beast of prey, they only threaten the mortal clay. The soul, unfettered, can take no wing, but the danger of love is another thing. Once under the tyrant passion's control, he crushes the body and heart and soul. An hour of rapture, an age of despair. Ah, these are the trophies of love's warfare. And yet, forever since time began, has man dared woman, and woman lured man, to that sweet danger that lurks and lies in the bloodless battle of eyes with eyes. That reckless danger, as vast as sweet, whose bitter ending is joy's defeat. Ah, thus forever, while time shall last, on passion's altar must hearts be cast. This is the history of Jews in Frankfurt. I bought this one, by the way. Like, this is another textbook. Look at the size of that book. Why do I call it a textbook? This is 1929. Let's see, perhaps I'll tell you. This is translated from the German manuscript. Okay, maybe this one's not a textbook. Chapter 1, Earliest Times to the Second Massacre. What's up with all the Jew stuff, Julian? I've been around, brothers and sisters. So I was a tranny for 5 years. They got me. And it was misery. And then one day I reflected, because the HRT was changing my body, and it made me reflect. Why are you doing this? Long story short, I learned about the Frankfurt School, which are the Jews who, when Hitler rose to power, first of all, they were communist academics which changed Germany into the ugly thing that the Weimar Republic became. Hitler came to power, they fled, they stopped in Britain, but then they came to the United States and they went to Brown University. And they started teaching young people, students in college, how to stop thinking and start being mad and be free, man. Be free. Eros and civilization. Eros is passion. In that book by Herbert Marcuse, he says, as long as there is civilization, there can't be love. And they deliberately conflate love with lust, right? Love being self-sacrifice, lust being self-indulgence. And so anyway, I learned about them. That's what turned me on to the JQ. I was trying to understand how I had fallen into that. Then I was a Nazi for 5 years. And I collected a lot of information, a lot of things, a lot of resources, really good ones. Just trying to go as far back as I can to find contemporary things of the people speaking to themselves, to one another. Anyway, and then I read the New Testament, and I realized, well, they're not Jews. They're not even Jews. They're not who they say they are. Of course they're not who they say they are. And it's really just good and evil. And race is not a big deal. There is no big deal except for whether someone has peace and love, or if they're proud and selfish. But anyway, this is a book by Jews about their history in Frankfurt, which Frankfurt is the seat of communist education in Germany. By communist, I'm going to stop saying communist because it's not about politics. It's Talmudism. Communism and all politics in general, is just an application. It's the application of an aspect of Talmudic slavery. The Seven Seas by Rudyard Kipling. So when I was a teenager, I worked at a thrift store owned by this Jew. And I went to him last year, and I said, because I knew that he threw away old books. All old books he threw away. Wow, that just makes so much sense. Oh my God, I never understood why till now. But I said, hey, give me your old books, please. How about you don't do that? And I come and I take them away. And we did that for a little while, then I moved away. But he was going to throw away this book by Rudyard Kipling. It's a beautiful copy. 1896. That's interesting. Oh, this one has a note on it. Pre-glacial man, the Aryan race. I got this one back when I didn't know about Jesus Christ, but it was still a good find. And I like what it says, man. Ooh, it quotes Ezekiel. It quotes Ezekiel. Wait, I gotta read that to you. First, I'm gonna tell you what it's about. A history of creation and of the birthplace and wanderings of man in Central Asia from BC 32,500 to BC 8,000, with a history of the Aryan race commencing BC 15,000, their rise and progress, and the promulgation of the first revelation, their spiritual decline, and the destruction of the nations, BC 4705, the inroad of the Taurians, and the scattering of the remnant of the race, BC 4304, as deciphered from a very ancient document. Also, an exposition of the law governing the formation and duration of the glacial period, and a record of its effects on man and on the configuration of the globe. A chapter on the deluge, its cause, locality, and extent, and an account of the Oannes myth by Lorenzo Berg. 1887. Okay. First, a bit from the preface. In the early chapters of Genesis is an allegory containing hidden within its outward form a history of creation, of pre-glacial man, of the Aryan race, which is Israel, and of the Asiatic deluge. Great as is the value of this history, it has been preserved merely as a vehicle in which to transmit a record of the first revelation made by the deity to man through the Aryan race. And I'm just going to stop there. I should do some readings from this book, though. I think I'll do a reading of at least the first chapter. Oh, but this is that bit from Ezekiel. And he said, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord God, thou knowest. Again he said unto me, Prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord God unto these bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. So I prophesied, as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived. Ezekiel 37. I think I read that Roman numeral correctly. British Israel Truth. This is a book about how the British are Israel, in part. They're one of the tribes. Everyone is Israel. Okay? Solomon had children with 700 Gentile princesses, whom he married wives. He's not an adulterer, except then there are the 300 concubines. Writes grammar of the Gothic language. So, something cool about this is just looking through it says words. Let me just read some words to you. The word day is spelled in a few different ways. Mainly D-A-G. You see, so by looking at things like this, we see how in different languages, which use the same alphabet, we're still pronouncing letters differently. Dag is day. Just like, if you've ever seen the word maiden in German, it looks like Magden. Maiden, the G sounds like a Y. But so I decided I wanted to learn how to read Gothic because the only example we have of Gothic in the record that's been found are fragments of the New Testament. And so it appears, as the story goes, Wolfius invented this language. It looks to be developed from Coptic Greek. I don't know if it's Coptic. I don't know. Coptic is weird. It's a development of Greek. It appears to me to be a emergence of Greek with, what do you call it? Futhark, like the runes. It's really useless in trying to identify a certain dialect of Greek because every city-state, they weren't cities, they were states, right? We call it a city-state. But they all each had some nuance to the dialect. By dialect, I'm referring to the alphabet, because the alphabet's the root. So like even in the shapes, nuances in the shapes of the letters, and in how they're pronounced. Hey, baby.
Hey, prepare it to me.
Okay. It's the same guy. Ooh, I didn't even tell you who wrote that. So it's Cambridge University Press. Let's see. This is Wright's Grammar of the Gothic Language and the Gospel of St. Mark, sections from the other Gospels, and the second epistle to Timothy with notes and glossary. So it also, first, it teaches you how to read Gothic. And it teaches you all, like, a ton of words. And then it presents the New Testament to you in Gothic. But you see that? So if you just take a screenshot here, there you have the Gothic alphabet. And you can learn that, you can transliterate with it, and you can start. You know, it's more useful to just learn how to transliterate between different alphabets instead of trying to learn to be fluent in a language that you're not going to practically use. But if you can recognize the similarities between the alphabets, how they all come from ancient Hebrew, and what they mean, and where they've come from, and how, because the reason, I mean, these come from the same ancient Hebrew alphabet. And look at the difference. They don't look anything alike. They come from the same ancient Hebrew root. But actually, I've translated the names of these letters into ancient Hebrew. And they fit. I mean, it's this alphabet, the information coded in it is legit. And so if you're studying Hebrew in Scripture, get this book. Oh, let's see. This one's 1964. And the last one I'm going to show you. I don't know what it's called. It's a modern Hebrew grammar. With Hebrew, modern Hebrew, it's not Hebrew, really, but it's actually upside down. See the antelope? Looks like a cactus, too. But it's the top of the lum. Anyway. So this is modern Hebrew grammar. That's what I'm working on right now. This is a language that would be good. Is it focusing? It'd be good to understand well, because it's a lie. This is what the Hebrew Bible is written in, except they don't tell you what anything means. It comes from Aramaic, and it is Aramaic, and they call it modern Hebrew. Whenever we were brought into Babylonian captivity, we were forced to learn. Well, they took away, right? They took away our Hebrew, taught us Aramaic, and actually, well, you know, Latin is based off of Hebrew. They couldn't take it away from us, so they had to corrupt it. But anyway, it's really not Hebrew. It's what they tried to replace Hebrew with, and what they for themselves have replaced Hebrew with. And then it has the vowels, the nikud. It teaches you what you want to know. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching my video about my books. Go out there and get books. Get books from before World War II about things that matter. Try to learn about the past. Hold on, wait. I can't. I have two more for you. Hold on. I almost forgot about this one. It's in pieces. It's very old. Let me try to find the date. These pages are all coming out. 1771. It's called, well, here, I'll just show you. The Annual Register, or a review of the history, politics, and literature of the year 1770. I'm going to be doing a presentation from this book soon about how the Russians were enslaved by those who say that they are Jews in 1770, like we all are today, but the expression of the magic that they applied to these people is really grotesque. One more, hold on. All right, two more. Understanding hieroglyphs. Hieroglyphs come from ancient Hebrew, not the other way around. This has a great story in it that I'll tell you in another video. This is the Jewish Encyclopedia, Volume 1. It says apocalyptic literature. And see, 1912. To talk frankly to one another about what's going on in this here Judaism, as they call it. I love you, brothers and sisters. Think. To think is to be saved. Seek information, seek understanding, and love one another.